In the studio is Mr. Chairman Kevin Blackwell, Senator from District 19, which we are all worried. As a matter of fact, you guys got a tornado watch out for your home area there.
Yes, we do. I think till 1 p.m.
Till 1 o'clock this afternoon, yeah. So it's going to be a rough night, and hopefully everybody will get by this one. But again, as we mentioned, it's springtime in Mississippi in the South, and it happens. So busy day yesterday. You guys go in at 10 o'clock this morning, I think it is, or
that's correct.
And the House and Senate both go in at 10 o'clock this morning. Any movement yesterday as far as Medicaid's concerned?
Yes, there was. As you probably recall, Friday we passed a suspension resolution over in the Senate, put our bill back in, sent it over, and yesterday they did the same with their bill. Mm-hmm. So basically where it exists now is it comes back, the bills move to the calendar, the motion to reconsider calendar. Mm-hmm. So either later today or tomorrow, I'll take that bill up, table it, and move it to the concurrence, non-concurrence calendar. And we won't concur. We'll invite conference. Chairman Hood will do the same over on the House side, and both bills will be in conference.
I do believe that Chairman Hood is scheduled to come on tomorrow, so we'll be able to track whatever happened today. But you'll say it's going to be in conference today or tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow, but sometime this week. And because it's a resolution, we're not under the same time frame calendar timeline.
So you could actually take this to the end of session.
We could. So, which is in a ways probably a good thing because it's a very complicated bill. I
was going to say there are a lot of moving parts on this bill, Mr. Chairman. Are there, where we have it right now, is there major disagreements in it, or is there something that could come together that would prevent a special session?
No, I don't see a special session. I don't see any major disagreements. There's some enhancements that the Senate side has done that the House doesn't, but that's the purpose of going to conference to work those things out.
But that was the same problem that caused where we are now, though.
I don't know if it's I'd say it was the same problem that caused where we are.
Well, disagreements or differences.
Some circumstances occurred, and we are where we are at. But we're moving forward.
Where is the give and take on this part of the Senate as far as taking some of those out?
Well, there's some language in the House bill that I like that we did not have, but they're very
which is
some of the language relative to credentialing, but they were very prescriptive. We pretty much had a very short couple of sentences relative to ours that the department will initiate that review process. So there's some language we like, but that's Chairman Hood and I will get together and it'll get worked out.
As far as the projected cost of what the Senate has proposed compared to what the House has proposed, is there a major difference in the cost factor? Your cost factor in the Senate is by how much more?
Well, our estimate's around $19 million.
So the bills that you've put forth is about $19 million.
Right.
Is that straight Mississippi money, or is that
Mississippi money? Right.
So we get a matching fund on that?
Yes, we do. So some of the enhancements that we did were, for instance, taking expanding postpartum care for women. Currently, women they generally get on about week 23. So that puts them about 60% of the way through their gestation period before they start getting any prenatal care. And right now, all we provide to is up to 60 days postpartum care. And so in the Senate version, it would go up to a year to protect.
The House doesn't include that?
The House doesn't have that. We're probably one of the few states that don't offer bariatric surgery, and that's another service that we're going to offer. We've also
How do you qualify for that?
Well, the department will have to be. There's some guidelines. CMS has guidelines as far as body mass index and your health. You have to do certain steps. You just can't walk in and say, I want the surgery. You're going to have to go through some diet, some exercise, and things of that nature to qualify.
Plus, it has to be that determination by your doctor, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is not for just government employees. This is for anybody in the state.
No, this is for people on Medicaid.
Again, that's part of the $19 million?
Yes, sir.
What else is in there beside that?
Well, we're also going to provide for telehealth services, payment on both ends for telehealth.
Was that part of the House bill as far as telehealth services?
I don't think. I think yes. I think they've got.
I think that was in there.
Right.
Okay. The bariatrics was not.
Bariatric was not. The
Yeah.
postpartum care was not. We've expanded access for mental health services. We deleted a repealer on, not a repealer, but a prohibition on new child and adolescent psych beds. We've taken that away. We're restoring a 5% cut that occurred, I want to say probably about a good number of years ago. So dentists, DME providers, some community mental health services will actually get a increase in reimbursement.
But nowhere in here we're talking about expansion of the rolls as far as Medicaid's concerned.
No, sir.
So that $19 million, if we were doing that, then we'd be talking a couple $100 million more.
We would be.
Well, $19 million is not that far apart to let this thing die or die on the calendar. But was that a snafu, or was that just?
I think it was. Just things happen sometimes,
you guys have communication. There's some communication between the House and Senate sometimes.
Yeah, well, yes, sir. But nothing's really dead until we sign he dies. So, but this is something that Chairman Hood and I both take serious, as do the Speaker and Lieutenant Governor, and it'll get worked out. I'm
just asking this because I do not know. Is there anything that you guys are addressing in here from both either the House or the Senate lean toward placating some of the problems as far as the feds in mental health in that area?
We did. We expanded services in mental health. Again, I mentioned.
Does the House do that too, though?
That I don't know. I'd have to go back and take a closer look at the bill. But
you again explain exactly what you did.
Well, there's been a moratorium, and I think it's somewhere around 20 plus years, a moratorium on child and adolescent psych beds. So we've removed that. We've just increased the capacity for mental health services through community mental health centers as well as the private sector.
Do you think that's addressed it enough as far as the complaints from the feds?
I think so. Plus, with what Chairman Bryan has done with, we have a new czar for mental health, and they're just getting started. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
A lot of other things went on. Did you guys address in any form or fashion as far as medical marijuana? That not out of your committee?
Yeah, medical marijuana is over on the House side.
Yes. That bill's still alive?
It's still alive.
Still alive.
It's in House Bill, I think, 119. And
I was a little surprised that the House also squoze in that wildlife fund. Did they put that back in there?
I think they did.
Tell me the maneuver that was used on that one.
Well, I don't know what they did, but basically on our side.
Was that a dead situation? But it's still alive?
It was close, but I think somebody must have stepped on it and gave it CPR. But as long as code sections are open, then to a certain degree we can go ahead and mend those. And put in other language.
Since this deals with health and so does Medicaid, but I'll ask you about this because we had the three sheriffs on yesterday, and the bill that we were talking about as far as the Sudafed's concerned, you mentioned to me off the air that you felt like the checks and balances were in place, and you're confident as far as that NPLEX is concerned.
Yes, sir.
But then to hear from of the sheriffs and some of the medical people out there, the NPLEX really does not prove itself the last time. Can you speak to that when we come back?
I will.
We're back in the studio, the Trustmark Studios. Kevin Blackwell, Chairman of Medicaid. We were talking about several different things, but I forgot what we were talking about. We continued the conversation off the air, but
we were talking about a number of things, but I think you ended with the pharmacy concerns.
Yeah, on the pharmacy concerns as far as the ephedrine. And we were talking off the air, you are not as concerned as the sheriffs are or some of the people in the medical field. And explain that. Why is that?
Well, I think we have a system in place, and I also think we're one of the few states that requires a prescription. Mm-hmm. I think the other states that may have had those have rescinded those requirements. But I think we have a system in place, and there may be some folks that fall through, but to have to go to a doctor for all the increased cost for somebody who legitimately wants to get the drug, to go to the doctor's office, take that time, pay that expense to get a prescription for Sudafed is kind of silly.
But we do understand now that we went from 869 meth labs in the state of Mississippi to 0.
That's right.
Does that play on your mind at all?
It's in the back of my mind. I think about it. We'll have to see where things go. And if we regress, then I guess we need to put it back in place.
You said we're the only state or one of the other?
I think we're one of the few states.
One of the few states. So there are some other states that do the same thing we do.
Maybe one or two.
The states that do no longer do that, have they had an uptick? How long have they done away with that law?
That I don't know.
That would be kind of pertinent information, and I'd want to know that.
Right.
How long, and also not only how long have you done it? Have you had an increase in meth labs in your state since you negated that law?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I didn't author the bill, so I don't know the research on it.
The other things going on as far as the sports wildlife fund. It is going to be back to the process now is to bring it back or take it back over to the Senate?
I think so. And
that'll go to conference again? Or
we'll see what the Chairman Whaley does with it.
Was there any changes as far as you know?
Not as far as I know.
So the position of the Senate is probably going to be the same?
Most likely.
The income tax bill, for all practical purposes, is dead?
To my knowledge.
House and Senate?
Unless it's revived in another bill here.
Is it going to see the light of day in a study committee? Is that what we're going to do?
Personally, I think that's what we ought to do. Take this summer. Conceptually, I like the idea. I just think it's a over 300-page bill. There's a lot of moving parts in it, and personally, I'd like to hear from some tax experts and others around the country as to how Tennessee did it, Florida did it, Texas, the impact that it's had.
Isn't one of the weird things about this, though, is it's hard to match us on another state because it's so complex. You have so many different moving parts. You have different sources of revenue that they have that we don't have, and contrary to that. So it's kind of hard it's just comparing apples to apples on here. Or am I wrong about this?
Well,
for instance, Texas has a lot of different revenue from oil and gas that we don't have.
That's right, and that's why I think we need to take a bigger look at it and see what kind of impact it's going to have on our citizens.
You think we could do that in 1 year as far as a study and be back next year with that?
I think as far as a study and having a plan, yes, sir. But to do it in a few weeks is a tough road.
What's the feedback you get as far as the medical marijuana?
It sort of depends on who you're talking to. Social media, I'm getting slaughtered. People just don't understand. They're being told something that is untrue about the bill, and no matter if you put something out there, you get attacked. And I've had other folks who have tried to defend.
Let me backtrack.
Our position.
What do you think is being untrue that they are hearing?
The facts about what the bill does or doesn't do. Supposedly, the bill only will allow use when someone's on their deathbed. That's absolutely incorrect. And on top of this, the bill only goes into effect if the court strikes down 65. And we've used some of the language in 65 and the other language it's not in 65.
Who authored that bill?
Our bill?
Yeah.
I did.
That's what. Well, you should know that.
Yes, sir. I do.
Doesn't it mirror the 65 to a large degree?
To some extent, but not entirely. But we tried to use some of that language. And I think that's where the House kind of got into some technical issues. They adopted all the basically constitutional language in an amendment, and I think that had some issues procedurally with between the constitutional amendment language and statutory
which caused
language.
a strike all. So you guys. I was just wondering, nowhere in either the House or the Senate allows the municipalities to opt out.
No, sir.
So it does, in that form, mirror what 65 does.
That's correct. It doesn't limit the number of dispensaries. It doesn't limit the number of cultivation facilities.
Did you hear the story I did as far as Oklahoma's concerned, and now they're in chaos over there?
Well, that was our concern. Personally, I don't think it belongs in the Constitution. You're protecting an industry and a product that we have no control over.
But to the promise that the legislature made, and I say the promise, some of them made, was that we'll have a medical marijuana program. We just want to do it the right way. So if they pass this bill, should the court strike it down as far as the illegitimacy of the process itself, as far as the initiative process, then we still have a a medical marijuana program.
That's exactly right.
So it's kind of a safeguard.
Yes, sir, and that's why we're trying to do it. The number keeps getting thrown around. 74% of the people voted for it. Actually, it's not true. I've actually have the results from the Secretary of State's office.
I've been saying it's 57%.
50%, that's correct, voted for 65.
Yeah.
And
57.
61% voted for both, but 57
who
for 65.
Who comes up with this 71%? Where did that come from?
The 74? I don't know.
74, yeah.
But I saw it written somewhere, and I think that became my number that I quoted. And then, but I ended up getting the actual election results from the Secretary of State's office, and proved a little different.
57% of the people voted for 65, period, not 65A, 65.
65, correct. And so basically what we want to do from the Senate side is to respect that, to make sure that there's a program in place. And again, they'll only go in place if for some reason 65 struck down. I
did ask, when I believe Trey Lamar was on, I asked him, as a noted attorney, does this put in jeopardy some of the other initiatives? And he said no, and he had a reasoning behind that, but we didn't have a chance to get to it. And so I've talked to several people who don't think the other initiatives would be in jeopardy, because if the Supreme Court ruled that this was not good,
right,
a good bill or a good vote on that one. So many other things going on. I know the business up in DeSoto County is incredible. The building going on there is just it doesn't stop.
We're very fortunate to be in the location of the state that we're in. We have FedEx up there, so we got major air service. We have intermodal, so we got great rail service. Plus, we have the port with the Mississippi River.
One of the other things that I failed to put on beside the floor action yesterday, that I'll have to do this tomorrow, I guess, was a couple of cuts from Al Gore, who was up in Byhalia. Did you have a chance to hear any of that?
I did not.
Man, it was unbelievable. But he was there, and I guess follow the money. I'm not sure who's paying him, but he was up in Byhalia, which is how far from where you are?
Byhalia is it's right, Marshall County's right next door to DeSoto's, but from where I'm at, probably 25, 30 miles maybe.
And the pipeline, people don't understand. We got pipelines all under the ground, all over this place, and you never hear about a major oil break under the ground.
No, and these folks that are doing the pipeline have met with the residents through the land acquisition. It's very safe.
Here's what I did not know, but if you have any credence of, as far as Al Gore is concerned, I did not know that these evil pipeline companies will route a pipeline specifically through a black neighborhood 74% of the time. I didn't know that. So if they have to gerrymander that to find the ethnicity, they would do that, according to Al Gore. I did not know that it is the cause of asthma, these pipelines. It is the cause of cancer. It is the cause of unemployment. It is the cause of racism. The pipelines from Al Gore. It's amazing.
Maybe we should have the pipeline folks redistrict.